to the Ken Valdez approach.
Oh, yeah. Welcome on in, everybody. It's your boy KV coming at you from my Soul Renegade Sound Studios here in Minneapolis. I'm welcoming you to the Ken Valdez approach. I can't wait to introduce you to my guest this week. Her name is Moriah Formica. Now, I was introduced to Moriah and her music through Michael Sweet of Stryper. And anybody that knows Michael will probably tell you that he's not the kind of guy who would just let anybody sing on one of his records. He's also not the kind of guy who will just shower praise on somebody if it isn't deserved. This young woman is absolutely deserving of Michael's praise and everybody's praise. She is quite possibly one of the best singers I've heard in my life, let alone, the last several years, right? She's incredible. She is the front woman for an all-female kick-ass rock band. And let me tell you, they indeed kick ass. They are so good. They're called Plush. Now, Plush was just out on the road with Seven Dust. Before that, they were out with Slash, and now they're getting ready to go out with Alice in Chains. These ladies are no joke. Aside from the tried and true rock and roll fans, they're bringing in a brand new generation of listeners, of believers in the power that is rock and roll. And I'll tell you what, Moriah has an incredible story, and we're going to hear all about it and get to know her a little bit more. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Moriah Formica of Plush. All right, hey, I am with Moriah Formica. We're just hanging today. Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. It's about time that I talked to you. We've been chit-chatting about all kinds of craziness.
Yes, that is for sure.
There's too much craziness in the world, and sometimes people just, just keyboard warriors, right?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Let's forget about them for a little while. How are you? What's going on with you?
I'm doing very well. I've just been, vibing, writing a lot of music.
Are you writing a lot right now?
Yeah, I am. I'm just kind of writing whatever comes to my mind, I guess. Like I wouldn't say I'm writing for any specific thing right now, but just kind of,
Would this be for you? Would this be for you, or would it be for Plush, or?
The focus for me right now is like it's Plush, but if a song for whatever reason, if I don't think it really fits it, then it's, I guess lately I haven't really been, when I go to write, I'm not writing with the intention of writing for Plush or for for me or for anything. It's just kind of whatever I'm feeling in the moment.
Sure, that's awesome. Sign of a true artist right there. Yeah. Well, let's go back a little bit. I'd love to know, a bit more about you, where you're from, and just growing up, and how you came about to discovering music, rock and roll in particular, because you're a youngster, and you have taken on something that, it's very, very much rock and roll. How does somebody your age find rock and roll like this and create it, for God's sake? Yeah.
My dad was a huge and is a huge 80s guy. I mean, he loves, 80s hair metal and all those bands. I mean, I grew up listening to Poison, Motley Crue, Skid Row. My dad loved Skid Row, Stryper, all those awesome hair bands. And, he would always have 80s pop-up videos on the TV in the morning.
Nice.
And I would just watch them all the time. And I don't know exactly what it was, but I was really fascinated with the guitar in particular. I just thought it was so cool that I was just totally drawn to it. And I got my first guitar at like 5, and I just did everything with that thing. I took it everywhere. I took it to go visit my grandparents in Maryland. Like there wasn't a place that I was that little stupid $20 guitar was. I mean, it was one of those little, it was like it had to be like 2 feet
Oh wow,
max,
sure.
and it had like one of those built-in amps and like the built-in speakers,
Right.
and you just
Oh my God.
you just flick on the switch. I took that
Right.
thing everywhere when I was little.
It's so funny because we just had my buddy Tommy Baldwin on, who had almost the exact same story about the exact same guitar.
Really?
Yeah, and he was probably right around that exact same age.
Oh my God.
So it's like you guys are like separated at birth or something. That's crazy. Did you teach yourself how to play or?
Yeah, for the most part, I did. I went to lessons for probably about a week, and then I think I just was. If I'm being honest, like kind of just got bored. Like I didn't want to. I just loved music so much when I was that young that and I still do, but when I was that age, I was just like music, music, music. Who cares about But I sat there for some of the lessons, and I wasn't vibing with it, and so I was like, okay. And it wasn't this big thing where I was like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna teach myself this. It was just kind of like, I don't know, I don't really feel the lessons. I don't vibe with the guy that's teaching me, and so it was just kind of like, okay, well that fizzled out. But I would just sit with my guitar alone at home, in my room, and just fiddle with it for hours until stuff made sense, and like there was a melody or whatever.
Right. So is that how you kind of taught yourself? Was it, kind of by ear, or were you learning other people's songs, or were you just kind of writing things that you were hearing at the time?
It was mostly by ear. I had they were little CDs that you could put in, and it was like an audio or not an audio. What was it? It was like some sort of video thing. I don't remember,
like a DVD,
but it was
like a DVD or something.
It was either a DVD or just like an audio disc or something. But
I love the fact that you're so young that you're like, what's a DVD?
No, I know what a DVD is.
I love it.
No, you know what though? I love DVDs, and we had a bunch of them growing up, and we also had VCR. We had VCR.
Bam, there we go.
Of our thing, like we had all the Disney movies on VCR, but it's just I can't remember which one. I can't remember if it was a DVD or like an audio thing. I think
sure. I'm just giving you a bunch of crap. It's all good.
Yeah, but anyways, it was a thing that would go over just like the most famous popular riffs,
sure.
like classic riffs. And I remember I learned the first riff I ever learned was on that stupid little cheesy guitar was Back in Black.
Nice.
And from then on, I just kept listening to those things. And then I learned Walk This Way by Aerosmith.
Oh, wow.
And then at that point, I would just lock myself in my room until I, learned like one new Aerosmith song a day, because
cool.
Aerosmith was my band. I loved Aerosmith.
Sure. Yeah. Same here. For sure.
How can you not, right?
No, exactly. I mean, just the longevity and the fact that they just continuously keep putting out really good music. So
seriously, it's amazing. It really is.
It really is. And again, we're going to go into this too, but the fact that Steven Tyler can just sing his ass off. I mean, all these years later, and he probably sounds better than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's a freak.
That says something, man. That really does. But then there's you and your voice. Where did you discover this massive voice that you have? It's incredible.
It was so weird because I didn't really say much as a kid. Like I was a very, very shy kid. I'm still a shy kid, but I can have conversations now with people. Right. And but yeah, when I was little, I kind of just didn't talk really to anybody outside of my my immediate family, and I just didn't I was so shy to the point where I didn't want to do much. I would just prefer to be alone. I would eat lunch alone sometimes in the hallway, which sounds sad, but it was because I wanted to. I just was a loner. I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of just vibing with myself right now.
Sure.
So it wasn't like I ever thought about oh, I want to be a singer, or I want this or whatever. And so that's why I think it didn't come until later when I was like 9 or 10, after I had already, because guitar was definitely my first instrument. I was,
Sure.
Around like 5 or 6, but I didn't figure out that I could sing until like 9 or 10. And I think a lot of it was because I was such a shy little kid who just didn't, I didn't think about, stuff like that or myself that way, I guess. And I remember it was my older cousin's graduation party. She was graduating high school. And one of the other kids there was like, hey, let's do karaoke. And I was like, okay. So we did Rolling in the Deep by Adele.
Sure.
And then the next thing I knew, the parents were like,
just blown away, just jaws on the floor kind of thing.
Because they had never showed interest in singing or doing anything like that. So they were just so surprised that I, and then from there on, I just, because I didn't know, when you're a little kid, you're just thinking, oh, I like singing this song. It's
Sure.
not like, you're not listening to yourself like, wow, I got it. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and so when I noticed that, it drew that to my attention, and I started exploring in my mind, oh, is this something that I like to do? Do I like it? And so right around that time, maybe a year later, I started really getting into Evanescence because my parents would always have all different sorts of CDs in the car. And Evanescence was, the Fallen album was a big one that they would play all the time. And hearing Amy Lee's voice really inspired me to just take off with singing. Sure. And then shortly after that, I got into voice lessons, and from there it was history.
Wow. So after you do this karaoke performance of Adele, right? What did your parents say? And did they implore you to go further with this, or was it just like, oh, well, that's really nice. Moriah has a really good voice.
They definitely pushed me to do more. They were so supportive because they already had known that I loved music. Like that wasn't a secret at that point. And they were like, well, do you like this? Like, do you want to do this? If we got you like voice lessons, would you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, like, sure. And they really are the reason that I am here, that I am the musician that I am today. Cause they just encouraged me and pushed me to do so many opportunities that I didn't want to do because I was so scared and so nervous and so insecure about everything about myself. And so, if it weren't for my parents constantly encouraging me and pushing me, being like, hey, the worst that can happen is no, you're not. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You just go out and take this opportunity. And, so from there on, they would take me to open mic nights and whatever. And, I slowly started building confidence and starting to know myself. And then,
well, that's awesome.
So my parents are a huge, huge part.
Go your parents. Right on. So you just kind of touched on something here where you felt very insecure. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, why were you insecure? What were you insecure about? And of course, how did you overcome that?
Now, I struggled a lot with, and still do, a lot of, like mental health. It's a thing that a lot of people struggle with, obviously.
Yes.
And, it's a real issue. And it is something, unfortunately, that, I know I'm going to struggle with it for the rest of my life. Like a lot of people. I think when you recognize that and you start to, a lot of it was just, I don't know what it was about exactly the things that I was insecure about, but I think just getting up there and singing, I was not confident in any part of myself, like there was no all these thoughts, what if this happens, what if somebody does this,
what ifs.
Exactly. It's the what ifs, and just the thinking like, well, it's not going to be me. Like I think a lot of it was just growing up with that, with anxiety and depression and a lot of things that can make you feel insecure and stop you from doing things. And really, again, with this whole thing, as far as overcoming, and it's still something that I struggle with. Like I definitely am. I got to hand it to my parents again for that too, is helping me build that confidence in countless conversations, you know, late at night, in the morning, like, and just them reassuring me. And it's true, them pushing me to do things. If they didn't push me to take opportunities and do things that scare the crap out of me, I wouldn't have understood, hey, it's okay. It's fine to be insecure, but go out there and just gain your confidence. I guess I had to gain the confidence, by just continuing to do things that I was afraid of.
Sure. And that's a great point. And that's there's a success story right there, so that's excellent. With that said, what is some of the best advice that you have received?
Oh man. I think some of the best advice that I've received is, this is really cliche, but it's really true. And at least for me and my journey is don't listen to other people. Seriously. I mean, like, listen, if it's constructive, criticism and it's something that you really truly believe can be helpful, then, of course you should always listen and be open. But if I'm talking about people that try to deter you from being yourself, or because it does happen. Like people
all the time.
People say, are you kidding me? The amount of people that were like, Moriah, you're not going to get anywhere with rock. You need to just write pop songs.
Right.
You're not going to get anywhere with rock. It's stupid. You're not going to make any money. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, this is what I want to do. And I stuck with it because that's just what I am. Like, I live, eat, sleep, breathe. Like, rock and roll is in my blood. It's not something that I have a choice about, And so really I think it was Johnny Waite who gave me that piece of advice. Was he said, don't listen to anybody else when they try to say stuff like that.
Right.
And it does sound cliche, but it's because it's true. That's why it's a cliche, because it's true.
I mean, and especially, coming from a guy like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably heard it and seen it all.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has that knowledge behind him and is passing it on to you. Right. I mean, that's some big stuff.
It's a really humbling thing, and it's very reassuring, to get advice from anybody who's like a veteran in the music industry. And
well, not only a veteran, but the guy is a success story in and of itself, right?
Right.
I mean, he's been there, he's done that. He has the gold and platinum records on the wall, right? So, I mean, there you go. It's not just a veteran. This is the tried and true, real deal artist.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which you are. You're a real deal artist. You stand by your convictions. You stand by what you want to do. You stand by, what you want to create. And yeah, like you said, I think a lot of times, especially when you're on a TV show like The Voice, right, where more times than not, you'll have pop singers, or they're trying to, get you into the pop world or whatever. And that's just, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It seems like that from, to me, just sitting here watching or whatever. But when you say, right on, I kind of want to do something else, and you stick to your guns, do it. And not only do you do it, but you're killing it right now. You're killing it right now, right?
Thank you.
So good much on you. Good on you for sticking to your guns.
Thank you. It is something that I like. It's something that I'm glad that I did, because there's a lot of back and forth about, what do I do? Should I actually, should I do this? I started writing pop songs, actually. I was going to try and do the mainstream thing. And now I look back on it and I'm like,
I love that you stayed true. I love that you stayed true to yourself. Like that, I mean, part of what draws me to you and your music is the fact that you didn't go that route. You did stay true to yourself. You did stay true to your vision, and you're creating something that's really vibrant. That's really like a big breath of fresh air. Especially, I don't want to, keep harping or pounding down the fact that you're 21 years old, but the fact that you're 21 years old and you're creating something that has a bit of familiarity but is still something that's so you. Like, I catch pop sensibilities in your music. It's not that you're not writing pop songs, but that's in there in such a creative way in some
Thank
of your
you.
phrasing. Sober comes to mind, right? The song Sober comes to mind. Your phrasing, your cadence, all of that stuff. It's like, man, okay, I get this. And I think that it serves as a really, really cool bridge to people who may have, be into the kind of pop stuff, but, are kind of wondering about the whole rock and roll world. I think that you're an amazing bridge to it. And it's not just a bridge. You go on this bridge and you're at this destination where it's just really good music. So good on you for, again, sticking to your guns, creating something
Thank you.
very real, very fun. And,
I appreciate that so much. And that's something that I hoped to do. So that there's something for everyone. I hope that at least. And I'm glad that you
well, let's break
pointed
it.
that out because it's a
Sure,
reassuring thing to hear. So,
Well, I mean, let's
thank
break
you.
it down. Let's break it down. You have great songwriting. So anybody that's a fan of great songwriting, there you go. You guys rock out. I love rocking out. That's always fun. And you're an
Definitely.
amazing, amazing vocalist. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
Quite possibly one of my favorite vocalists that's come out in, I don't even want to say recent memory, but I mean, you are one of my favorite vocalists that's just come out. It's so refreshing to hear just
Thank you.
badass female vocalist who just owns it. So, here you are,
Thank you
9
so
years
much.
old or whatever it is, right?
Thank
9
you.
years old, and you're doing your karaoke or whatever, right? and what, 12 years later, and you're fronting some, a killing band, playing with some of the biggest names in the world. How does that feel? If you look back and you're thinking about that 9-year-old girl to now, how does that make you feel?
It feels, first of all, thank you so much for all the kind words. I so appreciate it. And like I said, just very reassuring and, it means a lot. So thank you so much.
You're on the right path.
But yeah, it feels really, it feels really, it feels weird. It feels surreal. It feels weird.
Right.
It feels, it feels really, I keep using the word reassuring, but really though, reassurance is a big thing because it's so, from the time that I was 11 doing open mic nights and all the way up till now, there were a lot of times where it's like, I'm not going to be able to do this. There's too much, there's no way people are going to hear my music or you know what I mean? Like just doubts and stuff. And because it's a lot of disappointment too.
Sure.
And so having all these amazing opportunities within, like a year of being a band is something that is so reassuring. And it makes me feel like, we are on the right path and that all the work put in thus far is, being recognized and paying off. And that's a great feeling. Being able to connect with people through music that you write and having them apply it to situations in their life or, about them or their inner, personal struggles. That's also an incredible feeling. That's probably my favorite thing about this whole thing.
Wow.
Is just connecting with people and seeing the people and hearing the people talk about what the songs mean to them and stuff like that. It's really just so incredible. And it's something that I'll be forever grateful for.
Awesome. How does it feel to see your crowds grow?
It's something that, it's the girls and I were talking about that as we got as we were on the Seven Dust tour recently. It was just seeing it's so cool to see, every time we play more shows, there are just a little bit more people than there were the last time with
Right.
Plush t-shirts, or notice them singing some of the lyrics, and it's just something that's really crazy and weird to see, but it feels awesome.
So
And
cool.
I know that that's something that we talk about a lot, and we're just so grateful for, and it's really exciting, and it's fun. It really, really is, and it's great to see.
So speaking of the girls in the band, how did you guys all come about? How did you guys come to be?
So Brooke and I met first. It was actually just as the pandemic was starting, and so I was on social media all the time because I'm just like, okay, what else is new? Everybody's trapped in their house. So and I came across Brooks. I had seen Brooks videos, prior, like maybe a year. Like I'd seen them here and there, pop up, whether it's like YouTube recommended or just on Instagram or whatever. But I don't think that pre-pandemic people really videos I feel like didn't grab you the same way that it did when everybody was in lockdown, because
Sure. What else did you have to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everything's so much more interesting. And so one day I was just like really, really paying attention and watching her videos, and I was like, man, this girl kicks ass. Like, and I didn't realize also that she was 16 at the time. And so I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
and I found out around the same time that she didn't live too far from me.
Nice.
And so I was like, I really just want to jam, at the very least, I just want to jam with this girl because she's awesome and she's a badass and she's an amazing drummer. And, we got together and we were like, well, yeah, let's do this. Let's be a band. And then Brooke introduced Ashley. They were friends from I think they did the School of Rock program.
Oh, nice.
Together a few years before. And so they'd known each other from that. And then the three of us got together and the chemistry was just instant. It was like, wow, we feel like we have something really special and we just love playing, with each other. And then at that point, management had hopped on board and put out, a PSA for
like another
guitar player. Yeah.
Sure.
And I guess Lizzie Hale got a hold of that, and she had retweeted it or reposted it somewhere. I think it was Facebook or Twitter. And that's how Bella, our guitar player, saw it. And then Bella reached out, and, then the four of us got together. And again, the chemistry was just awesome. It was like, we were like, yep, she's the one. We love her. It was just meant to be.
I love the fact that, the band itself, it's all female. But just the fact that you had somebody like Lizzie Hale, repost or whatever about the fact that you guys are looking for a guitar player. There's more female power in that as well.
Right.
I think that's so cool. And especially when you think about the fact that Lizzie is, Hailstorm. It's
literally a queen.
Rock band, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So, man, it's like the stars totally aligned for you.
Definitely.
And let me just point this out to everybody. She just mentioned that two of her bandmates came from the School of Rock program, right? So if that doesn't show you, that doesn't tell you that music education doesn't work or works, actually. Like if people say that it doesn't work, you show them this interview, you show them Plush, you show them, Moriah here, and let them go ahead and just put that rumor to rest.
Yeah, and I went to a music school too.
There you go.
I went to a music school. It's called Modern Day Music, and up near where I live in upstate New York. And it really was one of the biggest steps for me to realize this is what I want to do. I mean, they have band programs where you play with other kids your age. They put together little groups of kids and you play in bands, and you get to do covers of the music that you like. And I took voice lessons there. I mean, it does work. It does work. So anybody who's saying that is just, maybe it doesn't work for you or your kid or whoever, but it works. So
yeah. And the fact
you
that,
need to keep it.
the fact that you overcame so much too with the mental health stuff, and then to see your career here, yeah, that right there is just a testament as far as I'm concerned. So thank you so much for sharing that. For sharing the fact that music education was such an integral piece of your band, and probably the success of your band as well, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
And honestly helping me as a person. Like a lot of my confidence that going back earlier in the conversation, like a lot of my confidence and a lot of the overcoming actually did come from music education, and it really, really did. It came from that and learning how to use my voice properly. And like all those things give you confidence, and it really is something that is very valuable.
I agree with you. You were talking about some of the disappointments that you faced in music. What were some of them that were kind of notable to you?
I think now I remember, feeling like I was on, whether having certain contacts or meeting somebody who puts you in touch with so and so, and you're like, oh, awesome, like I have this awesome opportunity, and then people tell you your songs aren't good enough,
right.
Or people tell you, which is okay. Like and it's true, it's true at the time, but it's nonetheless, it's still disappointing,
Right.
And being told, one of the biggest disappointments ever actually was being told, like I said earlier, you're wasting your time being in rock, trying to do anything in the rock world. That was like, when I first heard that, I was like 16, and that just was it might sound dramatic, but it was actually heartbreaking to me. Like it was heartbreaking, because I feel like rock and roll it is a part of my being. So it was almost like, oh, you can express yourself and make a living doing it, but you can't do,
right.
You can't express your true self. That's just stupid.
So
that's not gonna, so that was probably the biggest thing that I remember, that I was like, wow.
So these people just kind of taking a little piece of you.
Yeah.
Right, and just almost like throwing it on the ground, stomping on it and whatever, right in front of it. That's horrible. Yeah.
And so it's those types of disappointments. And then, of course, little things like not getting callbacks from an audition, or not doing that. You know what I mean? Like there are tons of little disappointments along the way like that. And getting eliminated on The Voice was a big disappointment to me at the time, so a lot of little disappointments,
A lot of little disappointments, but then again,
being told about your appearance, those are disappointments too.
Oh my God.
Those are things that are disappointing to hear.
Right.
At such a young age. So there are many things that were disappointing, but had they not happened, I wouldn't be where I am.
Right. Well, I mean, it's definitely made you a stronger person.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, it's you're knowing a part of this, the ugly side of the business.
Yeah, and those
not just the ugly side of the business. I mean, it's the ugly side of people too.
Yeah, exactly. Of the world.
Right.
And it's because I feel like in a lot of industries, it all kind of works the same way. It's just, but though it's disappointing, a lot of it was true, and a lot of it was stuff that I needed to hear at that age too. And still stuff that, I have to hear. There are things that it is disappointing, but some of it actually is really helpful and constructive, and helps you come out a better musician and a better person, and, realize like, okay, what can you work on? Is this true?
Well, let's talk about the constructive, right? We kind of talked about John Waite just a little bit ago, about some of the best advice that you've received, but as far as the constructive stuff, the things that you've worked really hard on to get where you are, to be a better person, to be a better artist, what were some of the things that you did work on that you feel, not just proud of, but the fact that or maybe accomplished, like, hey, I don't have to worry about this anymore because I worked my ass off at it, or I proved, the naysayers, the critics, them, them, prove them wrong, right? What are some of the things that you feel, that you have accomplished, the constructive side of things?
One thing that really stands out in my mind as far as, working on things, for constructive criticism is I remember when I was probably about 12 or 13 and I was starting to get into, I put out an EP. I put out a little EP and, it was 6 songs. It was the first thing I'd ever done. But it was fun. It was really, really fun. And, I had no clue about working in a studio or how you have to play, guitar, how you have to track and all that stuff. I had no clue.
Sure.
And, I remember being told that my guitar playing, at the time needed to be tighter. The guitar thing wasn't tight because I would write these songs and stuff, and then I would get upset if I couldn't track them myself.
Right.
And
sounds so familiar.
Yeah. And so I really sat down and I'm like, okay, I need to these grown men who have way more experience than me are telling me that my guitar playing is too sloppy right now. So I went back and I would just sit for hours playing songs and really trying to tighten up my rhythm and just, learning different ways with my hands on both, my strumming hand and this way, like, learning different notes to when to mute certain notes and when this, and just learning how to be tight and crisp and a clean guitar player. And that transformed everything. I was able to play live shows much better. It seemed like everything came together after that. And it just made me a better musician. Because someone told me, hey, that sounds sloppy. Wow. And
right.
Of course it sucks. Like, you're like, you're sloppy. Like, no, but you're like, it sucks hearing it,
Yeah,
but
I hear you.
Yeah, but it's
God.
true. It's true. And you have to sit back and really reflect and be like, is this true? And be honest with yourself. And I would record myself playing and I would listen back to it. I'm like, it's true. That sounds like a mess, and then work on it.
Right.
So that's one huge example of how listening to constructive criticism and working on it really helped me become a better musician.
That's
fantastic. And person, really.
Right. As it does. And again, it goes back to the education thing and it goes back to all of that. And, just to better yourself. I mean, the music business it's a crazy place. You hear the horror stories, and it's so funny because in my opinion, you take a look at the public, right? And you see that a lot of them have complete misconceptions and misperceptions about the industry in and of itself. There's some of them that are like, oh my gosh, it's so glamorous and it's so this, that, and the other, and it's just not like that. I mean, gosh, telling people is like, well, yeah, if you want to go hang out with, 4 smelly guys in a van driving hundreds of miles.
I was just going to say that. I was like, yeah, it sounds really glamorous to sit in a van smushed with people, never having any sort of personal space ever.
Oh my God.
But it's fun. Those are the tour experiences.
I am so going to ask this question in just a bit, but before I go there, no, I'm going to go there right now. Screw it. Okay. And I know that you've done both, right? And now that you have the experience of both. This is so
man.
weird. Just traveling with a bunch of girls probably smell better than traveling with a bunch of guys on the road.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. The hygiene is different. I'm not gonna lie, it's different.
Oh my God.
It definitely is. But there are our fair share of times where we're just like, man, don't have time for that. I'm not showering today. I'm
Right.
not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting makeup on today. I'm not doing, you know what I mean? Like, there are things like that where, or, you know, if there's, I know for me personally, there's like, I have a lot of leather jackets and just a lot of jackets in general.
Right.
And sometimes I'll wear my jackets on tour. And, you know, sweaty leather isn't the best smell. But I feel like there comes a point in tour where you're like, I don't freaking care. Like, you know, I don't care, you know? And so I will say that, but overall there is a difference. And the hygiene seems to be a little bit more.
I had to ask.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, you got the misconceptions, the misperceptions, right, of it being so glamorous out there. Now we find out the truth about, you know, traveling with the guys or traveling with the girls. And obviously you want to travel with the girls because it just smells better. Probably looks better too. But still, that's just the way it is. All right. But then you also got those people who are like, you know, those, and usually it's the same people who are like, oh, it's so glamorous. It's so this, it's so that. Oh, you're never going to amount to anything. Oh, it's such a dead-end street. Or you're probably going to end up on drugs and die. Or you're going to be, you know, I mean, it runs the gamut, right? So it's like, you know, damned if you do or damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so a lot of people don't see, you know, the reason why we do this. The reason why we, And
100%.
That's the deal. That's the real deal. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do with this particular radio show and talking to people like you, because we're going to just go ahead and dispel all of those rumors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to be a pop star? No. You're a rocker, and you're doing quite well.
I couldn't do that if I tried.
No, right?
I couldn't. No.
And so, I mean, but here you are, right? So you are, you know, 21-year-old woman in the rock and roll world, not a pop star, not anything like that, but you are killing it right now with your band.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got the success, and you got, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I mean, you as a woman, as a young woman, doing something that people never really expected you to do, or genre-wise, you know, how does that make you feel? Is it just like, yeah, you know, just are you feeling really good, really accomplished about that, kind of like proving the naysayers wrong?
I definitely do feel. I mean, I love being a woman in rock. I do. And I love the fact that that my band is all women. Like, I love
so
that.
Cool.
I think that's
so cool.
I think that's so empowering for so many people and so many little girls. And I love that. I love, we love seeing little girls in, you know, at shows that we play that just have smiles on their faces. And because I remember if I would watch, you know, when I would see Lizzie Hale on stage,
right,
you know, or Amy Lee, right, when I was little, and I'm like, they are just, I mean, they were just everything to me, and they were my heroes, and they still are. And so I think you can never have too many females in rock, ever.
I agree with you.
And I love the sisterhood that's in rock and roll, particularly.
Right.
I mean, the females in rock and roll are so supportive and empowering to one another, and just, you know, they're just badass women, really. I honestly never felt like there were people telling me, you can't do this because you're a female.
Right.
I didn't really run into that many naysayers as far as, you know, being a woman in rock, but, you know, that's really, I think that's really because of all the females. I mean, it's because of the females who have paved the way for bands like Plush.
Sure.
And, you know, who went through all that crap so that we didn't have it as bad. You know what I mean? And so I think that is incredible. And for that, I'm forever grateful for.
Being a woman in rock, are there any downsides to it? Have you experienced any not so fun moments, not so fun crowd members or quote unquote fans or anything like that? Is it more difficult, do you think, in that aspect?
I definitely do think that there's definitely there's a feeling like it sucks to have to worry, to have to feel like, oh, do these people really want us to sign this, or do these people really like our music, and believe in this band, or do they just think that we're hot? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's stuff like that can feel discouraging sometimes. And then, just overall in general, more objectifying things and comments than, I think any guy band would have.
Sure. I could only imagine.
And,
right?
just bullshit like that. And, sorry, are we not allowed to?
You're fine.
Okay. But just crap like that. And there are some sound guys that I remember there are some sound guys that will do sound check or something. And I remember a couple of times some sound guys being like, wow, you guys like rock pretty hard. I wasn't expecting that. Or
right.
Just like, wow, you guys are loud. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't have my board set up for that. Like just stuff like that. And I'm like, we're a rock band. Are we supposed to be quiet?
Right.
Like it's just stupid, annoying stuff like that. But I mean, does it stop us from doing anything? No, thank God, But it's just a little annoying stuff like that I personally don't feel would happen
if you were
a band full of men, So it definitely is a little bit, or just little comments like, I usually don't. I had this one guy come up to me and be like, I usually don't really give female rock singers any slack. I don't care for female rock singers, but man, you have like testosterone or something in your voice. Like just like seriously, people actually talk like that. I mean, it's so just things like that. But the good thing is nothing is really, everything's just annoying,
Oh man, yeah. Oh,
but by far, I think that the most of the attention is very positive, very, it's all love, very. So that's a very positive thing.
Well, good. What rumors do you feel like you would want to dispel, whether it be about you or the band or the genre, anything like that?
That's a good question. Okay, here's a rumor that I would like to dispel about Plush once and for all.
Okay.
We are not from South Africa. A lot of people think that some people have said, oh, you guys came here from South Africa, right? I'm like, no. We're not South African. We're not a South African band. It says that on Wikipedia, but it's not true.
Right.
We are all from America. And that's it. I would like to dispel that. Because apparently there was this older band called Plush, I think, but it was all guys.
It was all guys, and it was like electronic music or something.
Yeah, and they're completely different music, and they're from South Africa, I think. So it says that on Wikipedia. So some people think that we are from South Africa, and we're not. So.
And you're not. Where are you from?
I'm from New York.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell.
Am I New York?
I couldn't tell by the accent. No.
Oh, do I have an accent?
Oh, just a touch. Just a touch.
People say that sometimes, and I'm like, I can never hear it, man. But it's.
I love it. So don't ever change. That's just part of the coolness. That's part of the. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So three of us actually, Ashley and Brooke are also from New York, and then Bella's from Maine.
From Maine.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Except for Bella, you said, right? Yeah. You have done some amazing tours as of late, and you're about to embark on another one here real soon. And I'm so jealous. Alice in Chains, they're just one of my favorite bands ever. But I mean, tell us a little bit about that. So you were out with Seven Dust. you were going to be going out with, did you go out or are you going out with Slash coming up?
We
I see
did,
that?
yeah.
Oh, man,
We
how
went out
was
with
that?
Plush earlier. Oh, it was amazing. First of all, he's just so awesome. Like he just radiates coolness, like that guy. But seriously though, their whole crew and the band and everybody was just so sweet. I mean, every guy in the band was so sweet, so amazing, funny, and just we're so welcoming. And so they're just awesome people, and they kicked ass every night.
Right.
It's not that that's not to be expected. I mean, Slash, Miles Kennedy, come on, it's gonna kick ass no matter what.
It's gonna be a damn good show.
But it was just it was so crazy to be there, and the shows were so much fun, the crowds were so much fun, and it really was an awesome experience. It was a great tour.
And then Seven Dust, you got done with them not too long ago.
Yeah, we love Seven Dust. Seven Dust is, honestly, if I'm being honest, that was my favorite tour energy-wise. I mean, the crowds were just, we love the Seven Dust crowds. They're so diverse, first of all, and they just are so energetic and just happy to be there. It's like one big metal family.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's something that I love about metal crowds in particular. Yeah. They're just so happy to be there, and it's like they show the opener so much love, which isn't always the case.
True.
It's they could easily just sit there and be like,
whatever.
And I get that. I'm not gonna lie, I get that. Of course I do. We've all gone to shows where we're like, okay, can I just see Seven Dust? Can I just see Korn? Can I just see? I totally get that.
Right.
But it's a bonus when the people are just happy to see that you and happy to be seeing music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a hell of a pairing, though. I mean, you guys and Seven Dust. That makes so much sense to me. That billing was fantastic.
It was so much fun. So much fun. And Deep Fall, being on the road with Deep Fall and All Good Things too. They were on that bill, and they're just such amazing people too. I mean, every band that was there, just amazing people. It was so much fun to hang out with them. Sometimes we would share green rooms with All Good Things and Deep Fall, and those were just the funnest days for us because we all just had a great time. We talked, we laughed. It was just,
good.
Not to mention they put on an amazing show. So,
yes. And now Alice in Chains coming up. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. It's
so
something
perfect.
that I never thought. I mean, we're just so excited about it.
Oh, man.
It's one of those things where I feel like it's like the same thing with the Evanescence and Hailstorm tour. I feel like it's not going to hit me until I'm there.
Right.
And, it's one of those things that doesn't feel real. Your mind won't let it feel real until you're there.
Right.
Because it's something that's so crazy and so ridiculous.
For you, though. That's so cool. I love that feeling. Right.
It's a great feeling. And Alice in Chains is legendary. Seriously.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody loves Alice. I mean, they're just awesome. I remember growing up and my dad would listen to Alice in Chains and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Good for you.
And Ashley, our bass player, is just,
is that her band?
They're like
That's
her idols.
Band?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And her dad was in a band with Mike Starr.
Oh, right.
For a while too. So,
sure.
And I know that he knows all the guys, and so I can't even imagine what it must be like for her. I mean,
how is it with? This is kind of a random question, but I mean, how is it with y'all's parents? Is it like a big family kind of thing? Like, are all the parents like really supportive and stuff like that, or not so much, or
Yeah, no. All of our parents are definitely very supportive of us and want the best for us.
Oh, good.
Always, yes.
Good. Yeah, I definitely hope to catch that tour because I mean, I love Alice in Chains. I love you guys, and I definitely want to catch that for sure. You kind of said something earlier, and you being a young woman in rock and roll, getting, or finding her voice, or realizing that you had something, even at like 9 years old, what would you tell young women who are wanting to get into rock and roll or music in general? What advice would you give young women?
I would say, well, going back to what I said earlier was like, don't listen to anybody who's trying to deter you from what you're supposed to be doing. It's different to take constructive criticism, which I also think you should do. But if it's something that is just so against what you're being, don't listen to that ever, seriously, because it really don't. I don't think anything good would ever come from not being yourself.
Sure.
And I would also just say, take opportunities. You got to take opportunities. Don't let fear get in the way or insecurities get in the way, which I know feels impossible. Like it actually feels impossible, but it's not. It's really not. I was like the shyest kid ever. Nobody ever thought that I would ever be a musician, because a musician who like performs and stuff, because I just didn't. I was so shy and afraid of stuff. But you just gotta face it head on, or else nothing's ever gonna get done. And also, I would say, do take constructive criticism. Like, just be open to what people tell you, and follow your gut. I feel like your gut is never gonna let you down. Seriously.
I like that one.
Ever.
I like that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with it being close to the end, what I normally do at the end, I throw out these quick fire, rapid fire questions. Okay. So you don't think, you just go.
Okay.
Okay. So
Here we go.
right off the bat, performing live or studio?
Performing.
I like it. All right. Top 3 vocalists.
Amy Lee, Lizzie Hale, and Lady Gaga.
Wow. Right on. Throw Gaga in there. Boom.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite vocalists ever. I think she's so incredible.
Cool. Very cool. Guitar or singing?
Guitar.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming from like one of the most badass singers I've ever heard in my life. All right. Top 3 desert island records.
Oh man. Shoot. Okay, Follow the Leader, Korn. Fallen, Evanescence. And oh my gosh. Born This Way, Lady Gaga.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. Another Gaga. Throw Gaga in there.
Yeah.
All right. Slash or Seven Dust? Ah, I'm kidding. You didn't even have to go there.
Oh my gosh. I was like, don't do it. Don't. I couldn't pick one. It just depends on the mood you're in.
All right. Last question for you. If there's one song that you wish you wrote, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. That's such a hard question. Probably 7 by Taylor Swift.
Whoa. Okay. Man. All right.
I just love music. Like, I just love to listen to everything. I really do.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah, you have no idea. Where can people find you, Moriah?
I'm Moriah Formica on
Formica, people.
Yes, Formica. But it's spelled like the countertop, so
Yes.
You might as well say Formica. But yeah, so Formica, Moriah Formica on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then for Plush on Instagram and Twitter, we are Plush Rocks, and then on Facebook we are Plush Official.
And Plush actually plays, right? You guys actually, like, that's actually you playing and singing. See, that's amazing to me because they kick that much ass. And I'm not trying to say that to, like, you know, just say, oh, you guys are all girls. I can't, you know, nothing like that. No, they're incredible. Some of the best rock and roll I have heard in so long. And it's refreshing. And it's so cool that it's all women that are creating something so powerful and badass. And if you guys get a chance to go catch them, do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Moriah, you are amazing, and I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much for having me. This was really fun. I really, really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, man, yeah. Anytime, anytime. Well, there you have it. I want to thank my special guest this week, Moriah Formica, my new friend. From the band Plush. Everybody, they're going to be going out with Alice in Chains here real soon. You do not want to miss that show. You don't want to miss that tour. And, man, you're going to hear some amazing rock and roll from these 4 young ladies who are just throwing down. And I'll tell you, Moriah has just one of those one-of-a-kind voices. I really mean that. One of the best voices I think I've ever heard. She's so good. So go check them out. Speaking of checking things out, I ask you to visit my website, www.kenvaldez.com. Over there, you can check out my music as well as tour dates that keep coming on in. I can't wait to see you guys out on the road. There's also some merchandise there, information on this show, and of course, there's links to my socials. And I love hearing from y'all, so be in touch with me, and I will get back to you. If you enjoy the show, you like what you hear, and you enjoy the guests that I'm bringing on, and you want to show a little bit of love, go visit me at Venmo. My Venmo handle is @KenValdez. You know, the show takes a lot of time and energy and even some money to make this thing happen, to keep this proverbial bus on the road, and to bring you guests like Moriah Formica every week. So if you want to show a little love, that's how you do it. Visit me at Venmo. That's about it, everybody. Until next time, y'all. Be good to each other. Take care of one another. Bye-bye.
6 feet in the ground.